I was always fascinated by the idea of counterculture, so I started studying it. I started looking at the famous counterculture centers like Haight-Ashbury, Greenwich Village. It occurred to me that Toronto had this scene that was pretty well established and pretty well known, about which most people didn't know anything.
Yorkville was a magnet for a lot of like-minded people in the 1960s. Let's call them hippies.
When you talk about Yorkville, you have to talk about the music.
Something happening here.
Yorkville was the grand place of gathering for those who wanted to get somewhere.
We had Neil Young playing with the super freak Rick James. We had John Kay, and he would later form Steppenwolf. We had Bruce Cockburn. We had Buffy St. Marie playing here.
Made me feel like I wanted to discover Canada.
Yorkville really was like a staging area for a lot of the best artists to emerge into the 1970s.
Your competition with Neil Young or Bob Dylan down the street.
What was it that drew all these creative people to Yorkville? Cheap rent.
Quivers down the backbone. I got the shivers down the thigh-bone.
Early on in the 60s, it was all pretty innocent. Certainly it was when drugs came on the scene that things started to darken.
Shaking all over.
Everybody was doing something, and so there was drugs, there was alcohol, or there was the pot. My thing was alcohol.
The whole city and country were paying attention to Yorkville.
They had sincere wish to change society.
More than 60 people have been arrested, and the hippie protest continues.
If there was any kind of violence, it was treated as though this was a hotbed for violence.
There was nothing lovely about the summer of '67. If you were a black kid, you were dealing with civil rights strife, protests in the streets, burning cities. You were dealing with brutal police.
Why the fires were set in the city.
Frustration, you know.
But now when people realize what is going on with the world, the riots and the marches and the disgruntlement, it really came from the hippies and that scene back in the 60s. It had the spirit of Woodstock.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
But when they shut down Yorkville, man, they really shut it down.
Hey, hey, my.
There was zero remnants of what happened 50 years ago.
A lot of these scenes are very transient. So if you do find one, do whatever you can to preserve and present it, because you'll never get another chance.
Rock and roll can never die. There's more to the picture.